This is Twin Saga. It's the free-to-play game that just free-to-play MMORPG that just went into open beta, and I think this is a pretty great one. In fact, I'd say this is like World of Warcraft Lite, Lite. So you don't have to pay for it, so anyone can just jump in. Is there? I think you have to jump in maybe within the registration period, but I'm not certain on that. But you can definitely like jump in today and start playing, and it's pretty great. So before this, there was about 30 minutes or so of a like kind of a what's it called? It's not the pre-section. It's not like a tutorial, but it's just they kind of introduce you to the game. They had two pretty nice cutscenes. Like the entire production quality of this game is pretty great. Like everything is very colorful, very vibrant, modeled pretty well. The text in general is localized well. I'm pretty sure this is a Japanese developed game, and the original source material, or whatever, the original game was Japanese, and then they ported it over. So all the text and everything is all fine. So if you actually do want to follow the story, which there is there seems like there's a pretty strong narrative running through this game. At least from what I've seen so far, and the text is actually readable. And then they have these cutscenes where they have like a really nice, it's not such great like staging or like writing or anything like that, but the voice acting is quite good. That's something Japan really has going for it, man. They have the best voice actors in the world, which is why I pretty much always use Japanese voiceover when I can. They get so into it. It's so good. So right now, this is just kind of like they're introducing you to all the different shops in this world. And in that there's definitely a word for it. I just can't think of it. In that pre-section, you go off into the woods and you shoot down some wolves or whatever, some low-level mob. And then it turns out like the boss of the entire game, I guess, or the antagonist at least, jumps out, and it turns out you were partnered with like this princess or something, or this fairy queen. It's kind of strange. It doesn't really make much sense, but essentially they both have been in a war, I guess, and now you're supposed to protect the princess because the bad lady wants to get her or something. But you're just like this level 1 noob. But a lot of the character designs in those cutscenes, they gave you a really nice preview of what you get to see later in the game. Like, you had these really cool looking classes, you had these cool looking spell effects and everything. Cool looking boss, like the big armor dude. If you've already played it, it's pretty great. And generally, getting into this this section, it's a really nice looking town, and all the characters are doing stuff. It looks like a lively town. That's something a lot of these MMOs really cannot get right. And it's as simple as just having characters walk around chatting with each other. It's not so robotic. There are actual peoples around, and you can kind of assume and give yourself suspension of disbelief that they're actually living in this world and actually doing something, even if it's just that one guy who's pacing back and forth. So it's a little thing, but it really goes to help making this game feel alive and feel like an actual world, that you want to go into and experience. So you get into the combat here. It's a little bit wonky. As you can see, my character, when walking and shooting, he will, I guess, lock into the animation, but he'll still fire whatever you're shooting at, if that makes any sense. You'll definitely see it a ton of times while I'm playing, where I just kind of shoot backwards. But it feels good, or it feels good enough. It's definitely not the king of action MMORPG is Guild Wars 2, and this one doesn't exactly hit how tight and clean those controls are, but it's close enough. And it's pretty fast paced. It is kind of annoying that I have to press the 1 and 2 buttons at the top of my keyboard when I'm trying to move around. I wish there was a better way to do that. Guild Wars 2, for example, introduced a so-called action mode, where you could basically control your character like a third-person shooter. but then you could easily toggle it on and off to be able to interact again with the MMO elements. This still is in beta, so hopefully somebody I don't know, somebody who is on the forums voices their opinion about an action mode or something similar, and then you can map your main skill to left mouse button, your mouse movement with the right mouse button, right? And then maybe you have a couple more abilities on your mouse, your inner mouse buttons, mouse 4 and 5, I think they're called. Yeah. And going into like the other elements of this game, like the UI element, like the other things I like about this game, I should say. This game is generally really great. I'm just kind of picking out the things that I noticed off the top of my hand. As you can see there, in the very top UI element with the little potion, it says on. That's a really cool thing that I never really thought about for an MMORPG like this. But you can set at what value a potion will automatically heal you. And I assume it goes on cooldown, so it doesn't just spam 10 potions when you're low. So like for example, it's set at 80% right now. Oh, there we go, I noticed it. And I'm gonna set it down to 20 because 80 is way too high. I gotta save those potions, man. Those things don't grow on trees. So now when I hit 20% health, I'm gonna automatically use a potion. That's really cool. That's like Dragon Age Origins, like programming going into this characters. And I wonder if you get, no, you probably don't get more characters. But if you did, that would be a neat thing to have in there. That kind of thing. And generally, like if you're looking at the top, you have this UI element of the what you're fighting, your own health, and it looks very clean. And you can see what kind of status ailment it has. And if you click that bottom right in that circle, you'll see it again. It has that little treasure bag kind of thing that'll show you its loot drop table, which is really cool. Usually you'd have to go outside of the game to find that. And more about the UI, it's just, I like that it's not completely crowding your vision. Like, hey, look here, daily reward, hey, look here, treasure chest. It's a very clean format down at the bottom. It's not, cluttering your view. You have it at the top as well. And a lot of it is locked off until you reach a certain level, which is nice. Because, a really annoying thing about a lot of these MMR, I don't want to group this in the same category as browser-based or, cheaply made or what have you. It kind of has that feel, but it goes so much more and above and beyond. But generally, browser-based MMORPGs will just like, here's everything at once, have fun. And it's like, I gotta, ease me in. And this is easing you in. And then you see, there's a lot of text between the quest givers. I'm pretty sure this is more of a main storyline kind of entry-level quest, but at the same time, it still needs to be able to have them flesh out the world with a little bit more than just go here, do this, fight that. And look at this guy, pumpkin punk monster. He's a big monster. I'm gonna face him. And this guy over here, this jerk, he's not even helping me. Neither were those townspeople. They're just standing there watching me trying to face this ginormous eyeball thingy. And the character designs, by the way, in this game were pretty great. I already said that, but it's pretty good. They're unique and they fill the world in a nice organic way. Again, going back to how this game rises so far above other fantasy MMORPGs, is that other games will have like a very, very dense amount of creatures just standing in one spot or very little movement in one spot. But this brings it to life. Again, this world is just, it's really incredibly well designed and doesn't fall into a lot of the tropes that you see when you play 1,000 fantasy MMORPGs. It's great. This game is great. I think it's probably one of the single best free-to-play MMORPGs of this year. Is that right? No. Fantasy? No. I'd say, yeah. I'd blanket statement that best free-to-play MMORPG. I'd say best in general MMORPG of the year so far. That's not already out. I'm trying to think of another one. And I'm talking strictly MMORPG. Otherwise, I would give something like, best MMO in general to like. Did Overwatch come out this year or was it last year? But that would have been one. Master X Master was really great. Oh, Hero Wars. Oh, that's kind of an act. Oh, I'm sorry. Twin Saga. Hero Wars takes it. I gave Hero Wars a 10. And if you haven't checked out Hero Wars yet, by the way, you really should. It's a fantastic game. But yeah, okay, so it's the second best MMORPG of the year so far, with Hero Wars being first. But it's still really great. And if you don't like World of Warcraft, or you think it's too dense, too difficult to get into, or you just don't have the cash to pay for it, I think this game is a great sub-in. It's pretty great. It's fantastic.